Thousands of schools in the Eastern Cape are without teachers. The Department of Education in that province says some posts have become vacant more than 3 months ago, and they are unlikely to be filled next year. Joining me now is the Eastern Cape Education Department spokesperson, Vuyiseka Mboxela, who speaks to us via the virtual platform. Ms. Mboxela, thank you very much for your time. Why has this situation been allowed? Some 2,348 schools in that province alone remain vacant, or without teachers, I should say.
No, thank you very much, Xoli, and good morning to your viewers at home. Maybe, Xoli, let's put this into context. It's not necessary to say there are no teachers in those schools at all. It's just that the positions that are there, which are filled currently, they are filled by teachers that are not permanent. They are filled by teachers that are on contract. They are filled by teachers that are not permanently employed by the department. And actually, Xoli, the number of the last post-provision norms, which the MEC and the unions were busy discussing last week, Wednesday, it's 1,448. That's the number that was to be lastly advertised. And I must say, on the 23rd of July to the 13th of August, there's almost like 903 positions that were advertised by the department. And those were specifically HODs, that is the deputy principals and the principals. So the number of schools in the Eastern Cape that doesn't have teachers, it's not to say there are no teachers at all. And secondly, I must give this indication to you that it's only those teachers that are in the GET band where there is a bit of a number of temporary teachers. The GET band meaning that the junior phase. So it's not the number that is being claimed by the statement that was issued by one member of parliament.
Yeah. All right. So some 1,448 temporary teachers. Those are the ones that are manning these posts. What is the difficulty in making them permanent?
No, actually, Xoli, that is what is going to be happening in the last, in the next few months, because in the month end of September, the MEC with the unions will be finalizing the positions to be advertised, and you would understand that positions they are only confirmed to be ready for advertisement when the budget is available. So this year we couldn't really quickly make that because budget cuts that affected the department and also budget shifting from one point to the other in trying to fight COVID-19 was also a reason. But in the coming financial year, which will be starting next year in April, that will no longer be an issue. And also, I can also mention, Connie, that you would remember that there's a discussion now with government which says that early childhood development, that is the grade R, must come to the Department of Education. So the post-provision norms of this year also include that. And also, there's a concept that we're busy with as a department, which is the inclusive education. So the MEC said it would not be easy for him to sign post-provision norms that is not able to accommodate those that are living with physical disabilities. So it is that reason that some of the posts couldn't really be advertised easily, because there's an equity that the MEC must be able to respond to in relation to those schools where we call them special schools, where there are learners with physical disabilities. So those are some of the few finer details that had to be taken into consideration when the post-provision norms of this year is going to be signed before the end of this month.
Yeah. One of the things, though, Ms. Mboxela, that jumped out of me when I looked at this statement was the mention that out of these schools that do not have teachers, out of them, there is about 726 that need principals. Now, that should be of major concern because that talks to a lack of leadership there. What is being done to make sure that there are permanent people in those particular posts?
No, Connie, it's not like when there is no principal, when there's a claim that there's no principal in school, there is no principal at all. They are acting principals. And hence I said that on the 23rd of July to the 13th of August this year, there is 903 positions of deputy principals and principals that have been advertised, and they are in a point now of doing the recruitment, working with the SGBs, and ultimately doing an appointment. When the officials made a presentation in the legislature to say there are no principals, it is not to say there are no principals at all. It is not possible that there can be a school that does not have a principal at all, because there are documents that needs to be signed, and there are accountability processes that needs to be taken. For an example, when we dismissed the principal in Lututu, in Jongabi, immediately before the discipline process of that principal could even finish, there was an acting principal appointed. There is no way that there could be a school in Eastern Cape that can continue for more than 4 months without a school principal. If there is no permanent principal that would have been dismissed or that would have resigned or whatever the case it is, immediately an acting principal is appointed, because just underneath the principal there's an HOD. After the HOD, there's also other SMT members, which themselves are equated to be the management of the school. So it's not possible that there can be 2,000 schools that do not have principals. And also, it is not possible that we can finish maybe even a year without knowing that the unions will come and say, no, this situation can't continue like this. Because when there's no principal, it therefore means there's a neglect of a responsibility in that particular school.
What you are replying to, Ms. Mboxela, is something that was posed to the MEC, and this was posed to him in the provincial parliament there in the Eastern Cape, and it was posed by a Mr. Vuyiseka Kasim, who belongs to the Democratic Alliance. And are you saying that Mr. Kasim is lying when he says, as part of the MEC's response to his question on this matter, the MEC revealed that a staggering 86% of the posts had been vacant for more than 3 months? And making matters worse is that these posts were only likely to be filled next year if budget was available. Are you saying that that is not what the MEC told the provincial legislature?
Actually, before I could even come in this interview, I was interacting with the Director of Human Resource Development in the department, and even himself was a bit perplexed by the response, which is said to be attributed to the MEC, because we saw it on paper. But the reality of the matter, Paul, is not possible that we can have such a number. And I do not believe that the claim by the honorable member, Mr. Kasim, is true. It's a seriously misrepresentation of the attributes of the MEC. And we are at a point to correct that in the public, because from where we're seated, it could be an issue of him having not got the presentation correctly, because presentation in the standing committee, they are mostly done by the HOD, and the MEC only respond on few issues that are directed to him. So from where we're seated, Kasim has got it all wrong, and we have a responsibility, therefore, to respond and clarify the matter in the public.
All right. While I have you on, let me digress a little bit and find out about the COVID-19 situation and how it's impacting on schooling in the province. How is that going? In particular, social distancing. Are you able to keep schools open?
Yes, we're able to keep schools open, Koli, but we must be able to tell truth as it is and nothing else but the honest truth. We are battling with COVID-19 in many of our schools, because there are still people in the public that are conducting social gatherings unabated. There are people in the public that are conducting tournaments unabated in the public. But from where we sit, it has not been at a point that we can continue with delivering curriculum at all. And we are of the view that the trial examination that we are busy with, and mostly close to finalizing it, is going to be able to give us an indication whether are we going to perform goodly when it's coming in December. But it is a serious challenge that we as the department close down schools, sport, and close down all sorts of activities, but in the public they are continuing as if there is no COVID-19, and it is becoming a problem. But what gives us a sense of comfort, is that at least our educators have got a sense of protection, because out of the cohort that we have, close to 50,700 were able to respond to the job calling by the sector. And as such, when we are looking at the COVID-19 resurgence in the province, it's highly affecting the cohort that has not yet taken the jab. And we believe that by the time comes, they will be able to respond to that call, because it is for the safety of them as learners and the safety of the teachers and also the safety of their own families.
Vuyiseka Mboxela, I should say. Thank you very much for your time. She speaks for the Education Department in the province of the Eastern Cape.